Okay, give her.
And we are live. Welcome to another episode of ShedTalk. I'm here with Goof. How's it going, man?
Oh, number one. Doing excellent. You?
Not bad, but I can't complain. It's kind of snowing over here, but I mean, we were supposed to have French with us, but unfortunately, as always, he is wearing a high-vis vest and doing what seems to be work. So, we're
Driving a big cat or something?
Yeah,
whatever he's doing.
Yeah, something like that,
He might pop in a second.
Hopefully he will, and otherwise, we're going to talk about something that we've been meaning to talk about for a while, Baden Nord. And
yes.
I was hoping we would hear some stuff on that pretty soon. It seems...
I thought it would have been yesterday, actually. Because you get wind of it's leaking that Seamus O'Regan, Minister O'Regan is coming down, but it happened to be the gangway thing, which is, that's fine too. It's just everyone had their fingers crossed for Baden Nord news, which still, give credit where credit is due. When he gave that little speech the other day about supplying the lower carbon oil to the rest of the world, that was really good news for Newfoundland. So,
it really is, and the thing is, we all admit that there's no such thing as zero kind of carbon oil, and
no such thing as clean oil, but there is very much such thing as cleaner oil.
There is, and there's really not, even when you think about it, there's no such thing as clean, as clean green technology either.
Does not exist. Uh-huh.
No, it really doesn't. I remember there was an episode of Joe Rogan, and I know some people are going to hiss and cry about it, where a certain fellow Alex Jones, it was Alex Jones.
Oh, God.
And Alex, I know, but he made a good point, and it's the only time I'm ever going to say that Alex Jones makes a good point, is when he was talking about getting an electric car. And he's like, listen, Joe, he's like, do you know what's going to happen? Do you know that the electric car creates a lot of pollution? And Joe's like, what do you mean, Alex? And he goes, through all the things that they have to get to build it, and also to the electricity they have to generate to charge the batteries, where does that come from? He's like, there's a lot of coal power plants that are still in operation.
Yeah.
So
the U.S. has close to 300 plants still in operation.
Yeah.
Is that? I believe that's the number. But it's nowhere near China, which has 1,100 and some odd coal-fired plants right now.
And they're not really in the mood. They're not really doing much to kind of transition away from that. And that's kind of funny. We're the ones who have to make all of the sacrifices. But for some reason, we turn kind of the other way when it's India or China, and I've been to India, man. Trust me, it is not exactly what you would consider environmental policy, I should say, is not really on the top of the list.
No.
I remember I went to New Delhi, and I literally saw a garbage mountain. It was literally as tall as the Taj Mahal. That's what I was told by my driver. It was nuts. But so if they did that here, they'd freak out.
Oh my God!
Except
yes.
Quebec. You can take garbage, dump it in the water, and
just okay. Good night, buddy. All right.
But,
hundreds of thousands of liters of raw sewage out, and no one bats an eye. Well, they get the finger wagged at them, and then next day it's forgotten about.
It's not even that.
But no pipeline coming through here. No pipeline for oil, but they don't mind a pure sewage pipeline.
But that's just how it is. But I saw the survey that VOCM put out, or not really they put out, but they kind of released the news about it.
Yep.
And it was 79% of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians support Baden Nord.
Which wasn't much of a surprise, but It was still nice to see because, the minority against this project just happens to be louder than the majority for it, and a lot of people are just indifferent too, don't really care either way.
No.
But they just don't have their any interest in politics and inner workings anyway. So
no, and that's true. And for me, like the biggest thing that I I wish people would kind of look at more is the benefits that it brings. Like, and there's also this really narrow-minded idea that you can't have both. You can't have you can't develop oil and have a green economy. It's almost like it doesn't it's impossible, but it's not. You can have
no.
both, and really you kind of have to, because
Yes.
I'm not sure if this small minority of activists have gotten the memo, but we're broke. We have literally no money.
Well, beyond broke, we're so far in the red. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's we're redder than the Canada flag, to tell you the truth. But I mean,
yeah.
But no, like it's bad, and then they'll say like, well, we want this social program, we want that social program. We don't have the money for this.
No.
And we're going to need the oil. I mean, like, listen, I don't like Rachel Notley up in Alberta, but she had one thing going for her, is that she kind of recognized, like, hey, my province kind of needs oil to kind of sustain itself. So I'm against there was a thing that came out a while back called the LEAP Manifesto. And, so she was like, I don't want anything to do with this. And she still lost the election, mind you. But still, it wasn't as bad as we all thought it was going to be.
No.
But like the biggest problem, though, I gotta say, Goof, is that we have a government, like a government in Ottawa, that sends these really weird mixed messages. You've got the environmental minister there, that's the Gillibo or whatever his name.
Gilbo, yeah.
Gilbo,
I think it's Gilbo or whatever.
Gilbo,
you see it in text more than I hear it pronounced. So it's not hard to get it mixed up. But anyway,
and I mean, I
believe it's Gilbo.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't like the way I say it, I'm sorry. I'm not good with that.
Well, I still can't say Poilievre, right? Pierre Poilievre.
I tell you the truth, I call him Polyev, and I just
say Pierre or PP. Right. One second.
But
that's second one. All right.
The joys of children.
It's not that I care. Yes, not that I mind that anyway. But go ahead.
But no, like the thing, like kind of like getting the names aside, is that it's a mixed message. Like you have Seamus, like coming out and saying Canada wants to have this kind of low carbon oil, and then we have a guy who literally hates any kind of this resource extraction based kind of industries, oil, mining, and he's a Greenpeace activist. Like that's the worst. Like what a person.
What did you scale the CN Tower and put up a big banner or something? Was it?
Was that the one where he had like that big picture of him in like the orange jumpsuit, and he had that scary looking grin on his face? Because he got charged. He got convicted of something.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And which is weird for me, because I thought you could not be a politician with a criminal record. But then I realized I remembered all the house spending scandals they had here a while back, and I think it was I don't know who it was. It was one of the MHAs out in Labrador ran again. So I guess that's not actually true. I think that's only in the States you're not allowed to run if you're a felon or a convicted criminal.
Oh yeah.
But then again, if that was the case, Elizabeth May wouldn't be allowed in. She's been arrested a couple times too, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But so what would you like to kind of say as someone who's kind of worked around the industry a little bit more than I have? What are your thoughts on Bay du Nord?
Well, I'd like to give full disclosure on that, because I was a former rig pig, and I will be again. I would imagine probably by the summer I'll be up in Alberta, because there's not a whole lot of jobs in these like this Bay du Nord. By the way, first oil from Bay du Nord is not going to be till like about 2027 or 2028 or beyond.
Yeah,
if they stay on schedule and if it's approved, which I do really believe it will be.
It would be a mistake if it's not, to be honest.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. But what I'd like to see is, okay, everybody agrees, well, the overwhelming majority agrees that we have to get off non-renewables at some point in the future. But until that happens, so i.e. during the transition to renewables, why not burn or extract, harvest, whatever, Newfoundland offshore light sweet crude? Why not? It makes no sense to me to say, turn the tap off, like there's some kind of big switch in the Confederation building in there. You can just, okay, here we go, boys. Because I was reading today on this, the story you just referenced a minute ago, and I was reading through the comments. Listen, no more oil. That's it. Period. Shut it all down. Okay, well, that's absolutely impossible to do.
Yep.
Right? Holyrood runs on it, so that's where we're all getting our electricity. Everything in your cupboard and your freezer came on a diesel truck, which came on a diesel ferry. I mean, where the hell do you think? And not to mention, even though I will mention it, all the furnaces that are still burning oil.
I know.
So unless you're off the grid with a wood stove somewhere, which are barely none, I'm sure. So it just makes perfectly good sense. During the transition, no one's saying, "Oh, the hell with renewables, to hell with acting on climate change," because no one's saying that. All we're saying is, during this transitionary period, use the cleaner oil, and on top of the cleaner oil, the most stringent safety regulations on planet Earth and environmental regulations on planet Earth.
You worked up in Alberta before, have you?
No, I know. The furthest west I've gotten was St. John, New Brunswick, actually. I've been in the Union 10 years, and it has been very good to me here, I got to say. I've been steady work here, but I worked up in the, when I said I was a rig pig, I worked on building the Hebron for 2 years. And after that, I went to a shutdown at the St. John refinery, which is the biggest refinery in Canada.
Well, I know which one you're talking about there, because I know a few people.
That's when the explosion happened. It wasn't me, but that's when the explosion happened that time. Remember the diesel separator blew up. Oh yeah,
that was pretty.
Yeah, and that's why we got sent home early. Yeah. Well, the old crow. Remember the old crow? The guy that called in last show.
Yeah.
I worked on it with him. It was like 15 of us went off or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember when I was working up at the refineries or at the sites, I should say, up at Alberta, up in Fort Mac. The rules were strict. Like if you if you're filling up your truck and you spilled a little bit of gas, you actually had to stop, call safety, and tell them what happened, and you had to tell them how much you thought you would have spilled on the ground, even if it was like that much.
Yep.
They did not screw around with that. They were strict.
No, and if you didn't use a drip tray, which you put underneath, whatever you're fueling, why the hell didn't you use a drip tray? And you can lose your job over that easily.
Yep.
Because they don't, like I said, they don't shag around whatsoever.
No, they don't, and they do a lot of like the environmental reclamation in that. Like they put in a lot of money into it, and they all say like, oh, it's not the same as it was and this and that, but at least they tried. I mean, you say Saudi Arabia, they're not doing environmental kind of reclamation or anything like that.
No. And in regards to that, the technology in Alberta is growing by leaps and bounds for that kind of stuff too, right? Like the tailings ponds that were before, no one wants to see a pond out in the middle of the wilderness that you got to have horns blaring 24/7 and like shotguns going off to keep. Because remember, how long ago was that? Probably 15 years ago. A bunch of ducks landed on this pond, and every one of them died.
Yep.
From a tailings pond. I mean, that's obviously terrible. But like I said, the technology is just growing, and in Alberta they have to, because it's either that or do or die, because
that's what
oil sands is pretty the bitumen. I mean, it's dirty.
It oh my God, is it ever? I worked up there for a couple of years. I know. But this is the thing that really bothers me about kind of from the anti kind of oil people, is that they don't really think about the consequences of what they're saying. Like, and it's really easy for them, because I mean, they've generally got these kind of white collar kind of academic positions, and they make money from, their articles and all this stuff. Some of them, and others are social justice, so they get their donations and money comes in. They don't actually have to go and do the work that, you and I have had to do. They don't have to go away from their families and put in that effort, because they're there. They're sitting out in they're sitting on top of their ivory tower, looking down at us, and they're kind of sneering and kind of you know what I mean.
That's why it really irks me when they say, "Oh, it must be so nice, boy. You got a truck there and a house and a quad." Yeah, I do, but guess what? I spend. Well, it used to be 67% of the time away from home, either. Well, it's usually Labrador, but now it just happens to be 50%, which is still pretty high. I'm not home every night. I'm gone a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
and most in the industry have the the FIFO, the FIF, the fly in, fly out.
Oh yeah,
and which is coming back again now because Alberta's booming again. Well, starting to, and it's nice to see because, this is what really irks me. Something else that really irks me is, and we talked about it before, me and you, this whole NIMBY thing. They think if the oil doesn't come out of the ground here, it's not going to affect us as much as it would in some. Everyone usually says Saudi Arabia, so I'll just stick with that. Whichever country is taking the oil, like you look at a map of the atmosphere, it's not. It doesn't have borders like countries. It's just one big atmosphere that we're all sharing. So if you burn a barrel of oil here, or in Tokyo, Japan, or wherever, it's going in the same atmosphere, right? So why not take the lower carbon? And I thought it was 30%, but last week when I heard Mrs. Johnson on the news, and the former head of NOIA, which is Energy NL now, God, what was his name? He said it's closer to 50. He said it's closer to 50%.
Really?
And I don't want to quote the numbers, because I don't know if I got them right or not. But it was, Jesus. Here, I'm not even going to say them because in case they're wrong, and I don't want
no, definitely
fact checking me and saying that I said it wrong.
But I mean,
yeah, he said it first, and then she came on a couple of days later and said the same thing. So I mean, it just again just makes perfectly good sense to me.
But I mean, like, it's against the reason that you have these kind of people like saying the things that they're saying. I mean, not Ms. Johnson and the other people over at Energy NL. It's these other kind of anti-oil activists. And it's because they have a stake in making sure that this is stopped. And I tell you the truth, like, it makes me kind of wonder, because remember those protests they had in Ottawa? They were always talking about foreign money, where that foreign money was coming from. I'd like to really know, a lot of these, the Greenpeace, the Sierra Club, and all these other groups, where's their money really coming from?
Yeah.
I think if you looked hard enough, you could see it come back from certain groups, say, in the United States. You could see it come from the Saudis, the Qataris, or the Chinese, or the Iranians, anyone really, any of these countries. And
you might be labeled as a conspiracy theorist now, but I mean, there's a little weight to what you're saying, I'm sure.
Well, there is, and I mean, like, and we talk about ethical oil, and people kind of pish past it and say, like, oh, there's no such thing now. Well, listen, let's just say, for example, Qatar, and because they're having the World Cup for football.
Yep.
That was literally built with indentured servitude. So it was literally forced labor. It was building this thing. Thousands of people died. And here's the messed up part. It was actually built or designed by the son of Hitler's architect, Albert Speer. That was his son. Albert Speer
really?
Jr. built the soccer stadium in Qatar. But Qatar sponsors all these things because they're an oil state. They're filthy rich with oil. And so we talk about ethical oil. I mean, I don't really remember the last time I've seen things here built with indentured servitude. I don't really recall the last time, or I don't really remember, us kind of neglecting the environmental rules because they were inconvenient. But I'm pretty sure the Saudis, the Qataris, the Venezuelans definitely do. The Venezuelans don't care. because all their equipment is literally rotting into pieces because they can't afford to maintain it. And so there's a lot of spills and leaks there too, but we don't talk about them. It's only Canada because.
Well, it goes back to NIMBYism too, right? As long as you don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, if you don't see it and it doesn't exist, well, you're not going to see the money either and all the economic benefits that kind of come along with it. And a lot of this also is jealousy. They see the guy who...
And stubbornness too, big time.
A bit of it, but I mean, a lot of it, if you really think about it, is jealousy because they're going to school, they're spending, 8 years in university getting a master's degree in some strange thing that I probably can't pronounce, or some kind of confusing kind of topic, and they look outside, they've got like $100,000 in debt, or they just don't have a job, and they look down the road and there's the guy who went to CNA out in Stephenville or out in Portabass. He's got like a ticket in welding or something like that, and he's got a house, he's got a new truck. It's a big truck. It has diesel. It makes all kinds of noise, and it triggers him a little bit. And then he's going to Cuba on vacations, which me personally, I don't agree with. I mean, I'd rather go everywhere else but Cuba, but that's not the point. Yeah, but you know what I mean? They see that and it burns their rear ends, man. They're pissed because they're like, I deserve this. I studied 18th century Japanese feminist literature. I should have the right to go and enjoy all the good paying jobs, or I should be getting like $100,000.
Well, that's for all the. It's not so much anymore, but when I was in high school, it was widely thought if you were smart, you went to Mun. The dumber kids went to trade school. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Not so much anymore. Unless I just don't see it anymore. But, I got 2 trades, so how stupid am I?
No, boy, I got one myself, but I mean, I got to admit, I haven't really used it in the last like 10 years because I mean, it just wasn't for me. Like trades, honestly, they're really rewarding. They're very well paying if you're good at it. But it's not really for everyone. And I mean, and that's one thing that I admit. I'm not a tradesman. I've tried my hand at it. I sucked at it. I admit that.
Well, even when I worked home in Long Harbour and Bull Arm, you're up 4 o'clock, leave 4:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Then you get home 6:30 and 7, depending on the weather. In heavy traffic. Remember, I don't know if you ever heard. They used to call it the Long Harbour 500 because it's on the same stretch of road because they're only a half hour apart. Bull Arm's a half hour further west, and everyone getting off the same time. Man, it was a madness and accidents all the friggin' time.
You should see when I worked up at a couple of the sites up in Alberta, it's the same thing, really. Because I mean, you get all the buses. It's like a huge camp, man. It's massive.
Oh yeah, yes, exactly.
But I mean, like for me, I shouldn't say I was terrible at my job, but it was more along the lines of it just wasn't for me. I didn't like the kind of schedule. The schedule you got to be ready to accept that kind of life. And, it was all over the place. And it was honestly the problem with the trades I found personally was you're always kind of migrating around. You're kind of going from one project to the next. There's no kind of fixed
chasing yourself, chasing the jobs because you every job a trades person is on, you're working yourself out of a job. I mean, once a job is done, you pack up your stuff and you get out.
Yep.
Then you go on to the next one. So you're working yourself out of a job, then you chase it here. I talked to a guy last night at a car game, and he was leaving for BC now in a couple of days. So I mean, you can't go any further west in Canada, and he's going, and he got small kids too, right? So
yeah,
that's the sacrifices you make. And sure, and look at Adam French. He's up in Ontario now. How long? And he got a little. He had a little child.
Yeah, he do, and I mean, and like I said, that's why it just really it wasn't for me. Like I mean, but I respect it. I've lived that life a little bit, and I mean, at the end of it, like I said, it just wasn't for me. But I'm not going to suddenly thumb my nose at the tradesmen and kind of look down at them and that. Like my father's a tradesman. My father was a mechanic, and and I'm looking to go into academia myself, but I mean, or I should say not academia, but I'm not going to say where I'm going yet, but and
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yes.
school. So,
Yep.
it's the opportunity. It was something that I was good at, and I'm going to do that. But like I said, I'm always going to be there, kind of supporting these tradesmen, that because it's essential for us. I mean, we can't run the world on professors and CBC
No,
articles.
and it's not only the tradespeople either. I mean, so Beta Nord, we'll just use that as the example because
Yeah.
I mean it's a topic for today. But what is projected I think it's now $3.6 billion into the coffers of Newfoundland and Labrador. So I mean, that's not chump change by any stretch, right?
Now, if
What
we
do
leave
you
it to
think?
our politicians, it is.
Well,
I like dealing with them. They were always like the best kind of people. But
Miss Marner
yeah.
scored.
Oh, did he? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually, the funny thing is, I do not know a thing about hockey. I'm the
No.
worst newfie ever. I play cricket, dude.
Oh, so when you were chirping me last thing about the Leafs, you were just
Yeah,
yanking my chain a little bit.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was, because I have no idea about it. I
No,
understand.
I was going to actually bring up to you about because I assume you were Montreal then because Montreal's playing now. I got it on TV.
I like Montreal. I know a little bit about it, but like I don't watch the games and that. Tell you the truth, like
No.
my father's a big hockey guy. Like he loves
Oh, yeah.
he loves Detroit, but his second team is Montreal.
Yep.
But yeah, no, like kind of like getting off the old history, and that was years and years and years ago now. Before when I was up in Alberta, but like the long and short of it is really, it's good paying jobs, it's decent work, and it's hard work. It's
Oh, yeah.
especially in the winters. Like in Alberta, winter
Yeah.
sucks. Like 40 minus
Not much
40.
better here either, really. Yeah.
No, that's true. Like
The wind, like they say, the wind to cut you in two, but I know it's Lackholder up there.
oh my God, it's a different. I'll never forget the cold,
Yeah.
man. I'll never forget having to go wait at the bus in the morning. It was minus 40. It was bad.
Yeah.
There was some crazy stuff that went on there. I kind of miss it. Tell you the truth, kind of don't. The weather puts me right off it.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Yeah. I hear you.
But no, like it was good times, honestly, and I made a lot of good memories there. Rather though, I'm glad I'm home. To tell you the truth, there's no place like being home, working at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of getting on the back on the kind of topic here. It's what really bothers me about everything like this is that they talk about how we need to have a green economy, but everything they really suggest is not exactly reasonable. It's
No.
or they don't even know what they want actually.
Well, most of the time it's just, okay, listen, turn off the oil. We'll just use the term turn off the tap. Okay, and if you dare ask the question, what do you suggest to do to make up for it? Just figure it out, man. Just figure it out. They don't give you any alternatives. Oh, Marner scored again. Okay, anyway, I'm going to stop.
Is he catching up to Austin Matthews in
in
his hat trick?
He might get a hat trick tonight because that's two, but he'll never catch up in goals. Never.
Well, Matthews got like 54, 56 goals, I think
50,
it is.
54, yeah.
Yeah, I heard. Like
yeah.
I said, I just said here that I really don't watch too much hockey, but I heard stuff on the news about it, so I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And Marner's at like 28 or 29 or something. Okay, I'm going to stop getting us off topic. But
yeah, because I know that there's one fella here in town with a Bruins jersey on. He's probably going to not like us saying anything about the Leafs. But
and a couple of Montreal jerseys too.
Probably. But like the thing about it is that they talk about these green industries. What are they? I mean, like we need to have infrastructure for that. We need to have.
And in the move to that, I mean, good news today was the lifting on the moratorium for wind. So there you go, right? Part of that transition, like you said. So until it happens,
There was a project actually here that they were going to build wind farms here in Stephenville, or have them set up in the Bay St. George.
I remember talk back when it was around the moratorium. I would imagine they were going to there was talk about putting a small wind farm in Trapassi, but I believe it was, he said it was too windy. Like, he needed a steady wind. And they say it was just too windy at times or whatever it was. But just obviously didn't pan out. The moratorium happened, which was Danny Williams. Yes, it was Danny Williams.
Yeah, it was Danny Williams, but I mean, like, recently they had another thing. It was only a couple of years ago, actually, where I think it was Biotic Energy wanted to come and set up here. And the biggest problem was Nalcor did not want them to do it. And Nalcor kind of blocked everything. And it really set us back because there were things in the works. It was looking really good. It was one of the few things that, people were really optimistic about here. And we haven't been optimistic in this area about stuff for quite a while because there's just no opportunities coming.
No.
But the issue is it kind of too late to an extent? Because, I mean, there's...
Too late for
kind of taking the genie out of the bottle, I should say. Like, in terms of, like, bringing these, like, saying, like, okay, there's the ending the moratorium on wind power. Everything's going to come on in. It's not so easy about that now because before, like I said, we had this issue with the government. And who's to say that might change? Because as soon as the government kind of realizes maybe they're losing money on this.
Oh yeah, like, tomorrow you're not going to look out tomorrow or within the next couple of years and see these giant windmills everywhere. But
no,
it is a step in the right direction. I mean,
Oh yeah. It is a very positive thing, mind you. Like, I'm not knocking it.
No.
Although I got to admit, I'm more of a nuclear energy kind of fan myself. I think that, but then again, if we run nuclear power plants like we run the province, that's probably not.
Oh, you'll never see it here. Never. You'll see a casino here first.
I'll tell you the truth. Like, jokes aside, I'm actually surprised that we actually haven't built. The government hasn't built a casino yet.
No, well, I believe it was Tom Marshall when someone approached about. Remember when the what was the name of that hotel up on the? Jesus, the name of the hotel up on Signal Hill.
The Battery.
The Battery Hotel, yeah, and Mon up buying it. Remember, someone pitched, "Hey, put a casino there," and Tom, I think it was Premier Marshall, said, "No possible way in heck is there a casino going." I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but he said it's not possible. I'm not going there, and so that went by the wayside. But
well, that's one thing.
I think it was just somebody
like
spitballing.
Shit, yeah. But I mean, like,
yes, yeah.
But I mean, the thing about it is that I'm actually honestly surprised they haven't actually built a casino in Newfoundland and Labrador. I mean, I'm glad we haven't.
There's a couple of things that, well, you would kill a lot of smaller bars.
Yes.
Which rely heavily on VLT. And you do get
that's all
people
they rely
saying
on, really.
ban every VLT, and you do get a lot of people too saying ban every VLT or slot in the province. But if they ever open a casino, they go off their head altogether.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely
right.
would. I mean, like, now, mind you, gambling is a big problem in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I'm not knocking people who like to have a game of cards and do a bit of poker and that. But I mean, but I mean, I see people who are like, seniors with their old age pensions. As soon as their old age pensions out, they're at the machine, and it's all day, and they don't. You try to get in their seat, they will kill you. It's.
Well, I used to work with a guy, and this is before the machines. They were touch screen machines. This is close on 20 years ago, and they didn't stop at 12. They went on till 3, I think. And his wife, the guy's wife, worked in some hotel downtown I think it was a hotel with a pub in it. And she said, and she told the story a couple of times, said people would come in wearing diapers. So they wouldn't have to leave their seat, pack lunch in a diaper. And they just sit there all day playing.
I believe it. Yep. It's scary. Like, I mean, like I said, I mean, having a poker game or two, not a big deal. But when you're literally making plans to spend an entire day, 11 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock at night, wearing a diaper and having, like, a snack, that's a bit iffy. So I mean, like that's the kind of things that I think these kind of NIMBY people should invest their energy in is kind of helping deal with the addiction issue
Yeah.
more
Instead
than
of just instead of nanny state crap and just banning
well,
it all.
well,
No,
yeah.
I don't believe that at all.
No, no, no. Like there's a lot of things that I think that we shouldn't have banned, like hookahs. You know, the shisha.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
they banned that.
No hookah lounges in around.
There was one, and it got shut down because of that
Is
ban.
that St. John's?
Yeah, that was in St. John's.
The flavored tobacco ban. Was it the flavored
Yeah, it
tobacco?
was the
Yeah,
flavored
okay.
tobacco ban.
Yeah. I
And
remember a guy I know. His grandmother wasn't very happy because she smoked menthols for years and years and years, and just like that, you couldn't get any
Captain
anymore.
Blacks, man. They
Right?
used to have like the Captain Black flavor,
Or
cherry
the
flavor in
cherries
it.
and the grapes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I was no fan,
awesome.
but a lot of people are. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I used to, like, full disclosure, I used to smoke a hookah pipe like a long
Hmm.
time ago. And I mean,
Okay.
when they banned it, I didn't use it, but I mean, I still,
I wouldn't even know what it is. So,
oh, dude, it looks kind of like a bong. That's kind of
yeah.
thing, but like it's got a big hose, and you smoke out of the hose, and it's just flavored tobacco, so it's like grape mint. And they said,
Oh, okay.
kids are gonna get this, they're gonna use it, it's gonna be bad, they're all going to be like Turkish SpongeBob, kind of lounging around, like smoking their hookah pipes and that.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it takes like 20, 30 minutes to actually prep it, and then like another like 5 or 10 minutes for the charcoal to light up and all kinds of crazy shit. So I mean,
Just charcoal and everything.
oh
What the
yeah, you
hell?
got to have a charcoal. You got to have charcoal, and you got to have tongs. You got to put them on. It's actually a big process. You have to have like you take your tobacco, you put it on a paper towel, and you dry it a little bit so you kind of take the moisture out. Then you
Yep.
put it in the bowl. You get some tin foil. You cover the bowl with tin foil. Poke some holes in it. Put that on. Fill your bowl up with water. Um, Light the charcoal.
Sounds exactly like a bomb.
Kind of does. It's definitely not a bong because I've never smoked. I've never smoked weed in my life. But you take your charcoal, you kind of wave it around like you're at a rock concert, get aired up, put it on top, burns through. It's honestly it's a relaxing thing. Like I used to like do it socially. So me and like a couple of people in Fort Mac, we would kind of just sit around this table and just smoke and just chat.
Yeah, being a layperson, you're talking about that now. If I'm not thinking bong, it's almost like I'm thinking like an opium den. You remember them old pictures back from the 19th century? They get the big old long pipe and they're just
dude,
sitting around getting baked.
it kind of is, except without the drug kind of effect. But I mean, it's a very social kind of a thing. Like in the Middle East and that, in India and everything, they've got all these hookah lounges and that they're fun. They even have one up in Edmonton. It was great. I loved it. I used to go there all the time when I was in the city. But no, like I'm sorry to kind of get off topic, but
We got off on a couple of tangents, but that's okay too.
oh yeah. That's no problem. We can edit it out. But no, like the thing here is that we need the oil, and despite what, say, for example, the Sierra Club said last week, oil is here to stay for quite a while.
Yeah.
What
were the numbers? And I'm gonna quote these numbers because I believe it's what Charlene Johnson, what she said. It was by 2050 there'll still be a 50 million barrel a day demand
yes
for oil. So I mean, that's so what's the demand now? 97 million or 90? It's close to 100 now. So you cut the demand in half by 2050, right? So we've got to come from somewhere. Why not here?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, like, a lot of these countries, they're not going to be able to switch away. Like, it's easy for us or the United States to say buy an electric car, but India, the cost, the standard of living is growing, but it's still, there's a lot of poor people.
And same as China. And the president of China said, okay, climate change or action on climate change, yes, but not at the expense of people living normal day-to-day lives.
Well, yeah,
so, refuses to do it.
But for us, I mean, it's a political stunt. It's to show off to the rest of the world.
That's all it is. It's pat on the back. That's
it. Because the majority of people, listen, we're kind of concerned about it, but we don't want to sacrifice a lot of stuff for it. Like, and the technology is there now where we don't have to sacrifice much. The technology is changing every month, every year.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And but these people, they're almost like Luddites. They're stuck in the past. They have this
yes,
idea
yeah,
that it's still like this big oil derrick and it's shooting oil all over the place. It's like killing small
yeah,
animals and kids and
yeah,
stuff. And
yeah. Birds all over covered in
yep.
crap.
And
Right?
it's
Yeah,
not like it was in the 90s and not like it was in the 80s. It's not the Exxon Valdez kind of era. Is there spills? Yes. But the
yeah. But they're
technology,
reported right away.
they're dealt with as best as they can. I mean, accidents
Yeah,
happen and sometimes it gets out of control, but that's like anything.
and to say, well, why do you even risk having a spill? But that goes back to the NIMBY part again, and I'm sure everybody knows what NIMBY is. But in case there's anybody watching, NIMBY, the acronym, not in my backyard. So as long as it's not happening here, like an ostrich with their head in the sand, kind of thing, ignore it, it goes away. But this is not. That's not the way it is, because, like we were saying, the environmental standards in whatever other country don't even come close to Canada.
No, they don't.
So,
And it's hard to kind of say like or I should say it's easy to say like I want to do my part for the environment. I'm going to get my electric vehicle. I'm going to eat soy all day. I'm going to I don't know. I'm going to have like an environmentally friendly toilet made completely out of bamboo.
yeah.
Um, but a lot of people, we don't have the money to transition into this stuff. Like I
No,
don't have
no,
like 60, 70 grand lying around for an electric car. And we're gonna have
no.
to have the infrastructure in the mass amounts of infrastructure to have if everyone in the province bought an electric vehicle tomorrow, we'd overload the grid because
What did they call? Oh, no, no doubt about it. What did they call Canada's version? It was a couple of years old. Like, remember AOC in the States came up with the Green New Deal,
that was the leap.
and
I think that was leap.
Leap. Is that what?
Yeah,
Okay,
that was a
all right. I
leap
wasn't sure what
manifesto.
the. Oh yeah, okay, yes. All right, there you go. Yeah, and
Yeah.
no more planes, just high-speed rails everywhere, electric rails. But
Yeah,
how many charging stations are there in Newfoundland and Labrador right now? Do you think?
uh, I say
Could you
probably.
count them on two hands?
I don't think you can count them on two hands, but I say there's at least 20.
No, I was
But yeah,
being
no,
half
I know what
flippant,
you
but
mean. I know what you mean.
yeah,
But I mean, there's about 20, maybe.
yeah,
There's one in Stephenville. There's just one charging station.
one. Okay,
There's one
right
in
on.
Stephenville. I think there's like one or two in Corner Brook, and another in Deer Lake because the range is not there.
No, and I'm sure Canada. So I'm sure St. John's has a few.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a
I
lot
wouldn't
of
know where to find one. Maybe Churchill Square. I have no idea. No idea.
there's definitely one in Churchill Square. Probably, I'd say there's
Yeah,
definitely one or two near Munn because that's the kind of place where they like to.
couple up in Galway, probably brand new.
Oh,
Brand new infrastructure.
guaranteed.
So
They all got
yeah,
certain feller's face on them. Um,
yeah.
but
Won't give them a
yeah,
Christmas tree, but they'll let them have a
they'll have
EV
a
station.
charging station, yeah. But
Yeah,
oh man, that whole Christmas tree thing was hilarious, though. I got to admit I'm
yeah,
surprised he didn't just start his own town. He can literally
yeah.
pay the government to build it to like it'd be like Disneyland, except for
Yep.
it would be Dannyland.
Yeah.
Because Disney.
That's what they call Galway, Dannyland. So
Yeah, but do you know that literally though that Disney literally has its own town? It's a legally incorporated town in the United States,
oh
in
yeah,
Florida. Yeah, it's called
oh
Reedy
geez,
Creek. So they can literally build
okay.
Disney can build a nuclear power plant if they want, which is kind of
Well,
weird. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, no, but so that's probably what Dan. I'm surprised Danny didn't try to do the same thing here. But
I like Danny. I was always a fan. That's how I got into politics. Watching. Well, he got elected 2003, I think,
yep,
3 or 4. I think it was 3. I was 21 years old, and
I
just listened to Open Line all day. And man, it was just on wheels when this whole Nape and Cupid thing happened. And then I remember one of the things he just sticks in my mind that he said, okay, and I think it was a 10% reduction in all home and auto insurance. He said 10% reduction across the board, and every one of the insurance companies said, if you do that, we're all walking, every one of us. And he said, go ahead, don't let the door hit you on the way out, And every one of them stayed except for one, Lombard Canada. That sticks in my mind.
I remember though. I remember that things went up though too. Like the fees went up though. I thought.
For registering your car was one fee that went up.
Yeah, like birth certificates and stuff like that. I remember because I had to pay for birth certificate when I was trying to get like my when I was.
Oh yeah, it was a couple of things. Yeah, but then he had the Danny dollars too. Remember, $1,000 to have a child, and it was an extra $100 a month. I think maybe.
Yep, I remember that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I also remember that because it was during the Conservatives' time there that the Stephenville paper mill shut down, and we were told, "Don't worry, there's a plan B," and there definitely wasn't.
No. Stephenville paper, and there was one in the Grand Falls one too. Remember the?
Oh yeah, that was bad. Like
expropriated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sorry, my throat's getting dry from I'm chatting too much.
Sure. Yeah.
But no, like it's Danny's complicated. Like there's certain things you can love about Danny. I remember the whole ABC thing. That was hilarious. That was That was the
and it
time.
stuck. I mean, how long's after that? Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, really,
the influence. I mean, he was the most popular premier that Canada has ever seen. Right?
What
his numbers? He was an 84% approval rating at the time. Brad Wall came reasonably close, but
I think I remember he paid like $100 for a hot dog once, and so everyone called him Danny Millions. But I'll tell you actually what lost my respect for Danny is because he was always this. I'm so pro Newfoundland, every Newfoundland is the best place in the world. Then when he had that heart problem, he goes down to Florida.
I knew exactly what you were going to say, and I don't fault him for that one bit.
To an extent, I
really
can't.
don't. And,
to an extent, I can't.
Well, he said, it's my place. I'm going to go down, relax on the beach, or in 30-odd degree weather. Why not? So I mean, and I don't think it all says that he didn't trust the doctors here or the medical system or anything like that. I mean, that's what his haters went to right away. Oh, it's not good enough for Danny, but it's good enough for us. Like, I don't buy that one bit.
Well, I mean, to an extent, I can agree with that. But for me, it was just when I was young. That was what soured me.
I know, read the room kind of thing, because you can see how people would view it. So I can see what you're saying for sure.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Now, would I have done the same thing if I was a multimillionaire and I wanted to make sure that my heart was going to be fixed properly? And go to.
You had a condo in Florida to relax at.
Well, yeah, I mean, and besides, like you're going down to in the States. The States has the best doctors in the world, really, and that's why you get what you pay for. So I'm not faulting the doctors here. I know a lot of surgeons here in Newfoundland and Labrador. They're really good people, really good and talented, but they're a bit overworked. So I mean, like the burnout is real. Even back then, it was real. So I could understand why he would go down, but I mean, it was just I just didn't agree with it personally.
Fair enough. Yeah, but if Dad is watching, sorry for praising up Danny. He's not a very big fan. So
in my house, like I grew up in a house that was generally very liberal leaning. So I mean, if you ever talked about Danny, you'd hear kind of a hissing noise emerge, kind of like all over the place. The house would just hiss. But
I voted PC my first time for the sake of it, because the guy that ran the year I graduated high school, the school I was at closed down. The principal of that school, Tom Henderson.
Oh.
So he was my member. I went to school with his daughter from preschool right to grade 12, and I know her very well. I know him very well. So I said, my God, yes indeed, I will vote for Tom. And I did every time he ran. Well, when I lived in the district, because I ended up moving. But it just started getting me involved in the politics. I mean, he was a minister, and he was a very good minister too. He got a good member, I meant to say, and minister, because he got a bunch of roads paved out our way, had a bunch of stuff done. Yeah. He blew all his competition out of the water every election that he had until he gave it up.
And that's usually pretty rare, to tell you the truth, because not a lot of people. I should say, how do I put this? There's not really this whole incumbency thing here. They usually they'll last 2 terms, maybe 3. Unless you're Pauline.
Yeah, and John Efford had a good run. Roland Butler retired. He just gave it up. And what's the girl's name? The one's name, Leanne. Jeez. Actually, I should. Mine goes off and I get the facts on model because it's been so long. But Leanne, she ran his spot.
Oh,
anyway, not that matters.
But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, there's a few, but usually, they'll get their what was it? I think it's 2 terms plus 1.
2 terms, yep.
Yeah, 2 plus 1, I think they call it. So I mean, they get that, and then they get their little pension, which, I mean, I thought it was always going to be this big giant pension, but it's actually not. But it's better than what most people would get. But I mean, it was. Yeah, I just didn't agree with that whole system. But I mean, the incumbency is not really a common thing in Newfoundland. It's usually 2 terms and that's it. You're gone. It's like a self-enforced term limit, except Eddie Joyce, because he does not go anywhere.
Well, I mean, he's so popular out there, it's unbelievable. And I talk to people that live out there, and they love him.
God, yeah, no. Like I've met Eddie Joyce a couple times, and even if you don't like Eddie Joyce, like you still like Eddie Joyce. Because he gets things done, and he knows what he's doing. He knows how the game is played. Paul Lane too. Like I got to admit, like I love Paul.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
I would if I lived in Mount Pearl Southlands, I'd vote for Paul Lane like all the time because I've talked to him a couple times. Nice guy, really nice guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's very well liked too. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God, yes he is.
One thing I'm going to have to bring up now. You know how we got this whole Riverside platform. We get 5 hours a month. We got 9 minutes left to go.
So yeah, we should probably wrap her up there now. But it was a good conversation.
It was, yeah.
Thanks.
We set off on a couple tangents, but it's no big deal.
Well, it's just us having
just
fun.
Makes for interesting conversation.
It does. It does.
So we say Badenord and whatever, which always happens anyway, which is fine.
It does. You can't really. These things never gonna happen linearly.
No,
so
right. I'm not like we're sitting here with notes everywhere and just sticking the points and reading off a paper.
But it's
no one wants that either.
No, it's boring and you don't really have the fun. Like for me, one thing I love about this is having fun. And it would have been good if French was here.
Yeah, well, he'll be soon freed up a little from 24/7 on call
around. So
yes, yeah, fill the potholes. But I just reminded myself now when I said about reading off a paper when I was operating, and I had, it was open line, and Paddy had back talk at the time, 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and when Bruno Marcroki would call in with the Sierra Club, and you could tell he was reading off a paper, and Paddy say, "So, Bruno, are you reading off a paper?" Because you could tell he was just so scripted, and it's just not as powerful as.
No, it's not.
Just, no.
But I guess before we run out of time, thanks a lot, Goof, for another good episode. And
it was awesome.
Oh yeah, always is. And I guess we will see everyone next time we get some hours on River.
Yes. Oh well, it'll be next week. Will be good again.
Perfect. So, awesome.
Yeah. All right, man. Good chatting with you, and I'll get this edited, and I'll wait till tomorrow before we put it on, but we'll get around there.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Okay, buddy. See ya.